I'm Jason Botchford here with my good pal and colleague Ben Kuzma. We're here at the opening of the Vancouver Canucks training camp. Talked to several players, including the Sedins and one Roberto Luongo, as well as the new head coach and general manager Mike Gillis. Ben, what stuck out for you today?
Well, a couple of things we found out, Jason, probably came up at the end. I think the medical state of this team, and we know what John Tortorella's hopefully going to be all about. We found out that David Booth has still not been medically cleared.
David suffered a very serious injury last year. He is a big part of this team moving forward, and we have to protect our team. You know, it's just like any other player who suffered that kind of injury. You know, it's training camp. You don't need to, with a player of his stature and his experience, you don't need to push him into a situation where he's not going to be ready and risk something else. So it's just regular maintenance of a player that's been injured, and I'm sure you'll see him soon.
The other thing that stood out for me, Jason, was the fact that Mike Gillis saying at the end of it all that they still have about $2.5 million in cap space if they need to go chase a third-line center. What we saw and what you specifically saw out of Penticton was a struggling Brendan Gaunce, and we've talked about that black hole here for about a year and a half. So those two things really stood out for me.
Well, I don't know if struggling, but he just didn't look like a guy that was ready to kind of grasp the brass ring, ready for the NHL right now. To me, the big story though, Ryan Kesler's arrival, healthy for the first time in 2 years. We know that he's an emotional player. In fact, today he admitted that that emotion is one of the reasons that he gets injured, because it impacts the way he plays. And now he's got a coach who's a very emotional coach who is going to be pushing his buttons.
Everyone here knows I'm an emotional guy, and I probably play my best when the emotions are high and kicking in. But that's when you get injured. So I did a lot of time this off season just working and getting my body where it needs to be, so I don't have to be so emotional out there, and just play my game and be successful that way.
As an emotional guy, how do you think you can handle an emotional coach?
I think we're a good fit. We both want to win. We both hate losing, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Kuz, well, what's the dynamic here? Like, when are these guys going to butt heads? I think it's inevitable. And what is the impact going to be for Ryan Kesler's game, do you think?
Well, you know, if Torts says jump, Ryan will say how high. I think the message actually probably has to come from the coach. You got to temper that enthusiasm and that drive. And I think the interesting thing we're going to see from Ryan Kesler is that now that he's actually healthy and had a summer to finally properly train, he's hired a skills coach out of his own pocket, because he's trying to build something different here in his repertoire. Kind of like a pitcher, you know, maybe he's got the slider now. Maybe he's got the curve, because once Ryan gains the offensive zone, we kind of know what he's all about. He used to have one of the most feared wrist shots in the NHL when he won the Selke Trophy. But, you know, when you have a hip surgery and a shoulder surgery and a wrist surgery, the velocity and the accuracy goes away. So Ryan's been working with this skills coach to try to develop some other weapons, and how that'll play into all this will be really interesting. But I think it really has to come from Tortorella. As much as he's going to push all those buttons with Ryan, he's also going to have to understand that, whoa, maybe, just maybe, we're going to have to temper it to some degree so this guy is playing in the new year.
I don't think Roberto Luongo is really a topic today. I could care less if he's happy or not. I think that story's over.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most, just get back to work and just have to worry about playing hockey, you know, and leave all that other stuff behind and move on and just get ready for a great year.
The Sedins blocking shots, playing more defensive. At the end, Tortorella made this kind of exclamation point statement where he said, wait till you see the reaction from the bench when they see the Sedins block shots. But my reaction to that is, what's the reaction going to be on the bench when they see the Sedins limping off the ice?
Well, I think we always wanted to do it. We always wanted to kill penalties and do all those kind of things, and so it will be interesting to see what happens. But we're open to anything. We're going to help this team win, and whatever he wants us to do, we'll do.
The reaction is, do I have to do that too? I mean, if the captain's doing it. It's interesting too with Tortorella's theory. You know, he's sort of been labeled a defensive coach. He says teams are always looking for offense. Don't get me wrong. We're all looking for offense. The big thing with him is when you don't have the puck, when you don't have puck possession, that's when defense starts, and it's much more awareness of we don't have the puck. And that's everything from being good in the neutral zone, good in your own zone, and like you said, Jace, blocking shots.
Again, everybody wants offense. Everybody wants those pretty goals. Everybody thinks these new rules we're going to bring in these pretty goals, and we all see what happens. And
you still need to have some bite and grind in your game, and that's where I'd like to see it a little bit more consistent, and that's where I think we'll get to a different level. So I don't want to get into predicting and all that, but a complete game is something I think all coaches are looking for.
Yeah, but I mean, the Sedins have wanted to kill penalties and do these things for years. They haven't allowed them to, because the whole concept was where all their minutes are going to be used to be in offensive situations. This Tortorella regime and this kind of mantra that he has, that he's showing now, goes against really what Mike Gillis has been telling the Sedins for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and then where are the goals going to come from? I mean,
Well,
if you've got the Sedins playing 23 minutes a game, and part of it is killing penalties and limping off the ice after blocking shots, and David Booth isn't ready to start the season, and I mean, is Ryan Kessler going to have to be the 5-tool guy to do it all offensively for him? So lots of interesting questions today.
Yeah, first day of training camp.